up, Alex?
How you doing?
I'm doing wonderful.
Normally, we're here talking about boards and bottles, but today is a little bit special episode.
It is. So today we've got our 2023 Whiskies of the Year. So our channel, we typically talk about board games and bottle pairings. A lot of times that leans towards whiskey. We drink a lot of whiskey, folks. So we just want to give you guys a little encouragement to check out a little bit more about what we do. Give us feedback about what you like, what you don't like. And you can tell Alex how trash his picks are.
Oh! Or how amazing this blazer is. Either way. It's okay. We take all comments. Good, sure. Bad, the ugly.
We do. All right. So let's get right to it, man. Before we get into the top 10, let's talk about maybe a whiskey that maybe isn't in our top 10, but surprised us.
Okay, you go first this time.
All right, so for me, I want to talk about Bardstown Origins. Bardstown, they've put their own juice down. It's been aging, and now they're finally at the point where they're making 100% Bardstown distilled bottles. So it's come out as the Bardstown Origin series. They've got a white label, which is their traditional bourbon. They've got a black label, which is bottled and bond wheated. And they've got a green label, which is their rye. Prior to that, I've had some of the Bardstown stuff. Some of their fusion kind of left me like, I don't know if this brand's for me. Their origin stuff, let me tell you, it's fabulous. Like, their own distilled stuff is wonderful. I love that white label. I know people have been going nuts for the black label, bottled and bond. Their white label's so good. And if this is what they're coming out with, I'm in. I'm all in. It's like $50 a bottle, but it's so good.
And I remember that you and I think, did the tasting together. Mm-hmm. And when they came to Sarasota, and I didn't even care about
it we're like,
at all. I tasted it. I was like, this is... Ooh,
yeah, not for us.
Not for us. And then all of a sudden, wow.
Yeah.
We tried that series, and oh my gosh.
So good.
It is amazing. So yeah, another on the rise that I'm looking at, right?
Yep. Can't wait.
For me, I went to Louisville. And when I was there, I was asking somebody, I said, I'm a lot more of a Scotch drinker. Don't hold that against me. You know, what can I get to? And I know that rye a lot of time is where Scotch drinkers kind of go when they're drinking bourbons and such. So he pointed me to Peerless, and I tasted Peerless, and I have to say, it was so tasty. So the Peerless rye definitely caught my eye. So that would be outside my top 10, but something that I'm starting to look at a lot is like, what other things does Peerless make? And
that's cool.
And, you know, any special editions I can get my fingers on.
Yeah, I haven't gone too deep with Peerless, but I would love to take that journey with you in 2024. Let's do it.
Let's go.
Cool.
All right, so starting the top 10, Dan, what do you have?
So my number 10, I don't have a lot of these bottles of top 10s with me. Some of the stuff I just had pours at bars, pours at other people's houses. But this is one that I actually do have a bottle of. So I'm going to bust it out, and we can get a little into it. So this is my number 10. This is Wilderness Trail, the Family Reserve. It's cask strength. I got it from the distillery. And as it was explained to me, the master distiller over at Wilderness Trail selected 3 barrels and then blended them together to make this fabulous concoction.
Oh, my goodness.
So if you guys aren't familiar with Wilderness Trail, it's out in Danville, Kentucky. Super, super cool stuff. 2 guys, Shane Baker, who's a venture capitalist, and Pat Heist, who's a doctor in microbiology, made Wilderness Trail. They just sold it to the Campari Group for, I think, $400 million or something. And they still have an interest in it as well. But they're just doing great, great stuff. This Family Reserve is fabulous. It's really, really good. I totally encourage anybody to try it. And it's like $65 a bottle. It's not bad. There's not many sub-$100 bottles on my list, but this is one of them. If you get up to Danville, if you can get your hands on a Family Reserve of Wilderness Trail, get it. It's
Do
good.
it.
Good.
Excellent. Well, thanks for the pour, Dan.
Yeah. Cheers.
All right. Well, my number 10 is Jack Daniel's Sinatra.
Oh.
So you were nice enough to bring a bottle over because you know how much I love Jack Daniel's.
Oh, yeah.
It was what I won't say grow up with because, you know, that's drinking way too early. But yeah. I will say that in college I drank a fair amount of Jack Daniel's. And so it was amazing to me to taste a Jack Daniel's that is, I mean, I can drink Jack Daniel's without mixing it, but this was the first time I woke up and went, wow, Jack Daniels, you are making something special. So second time I'd had the bottle, but it's so wonderful. So it definitely ranks as my top 10 whiskey of the year.
It was, and it's cool. We were on vacation with some of our friends, and one of the guys, when I broke out the bottle, he's like, Jack Daniels. And I was like, I'm like, give it a try.
Give it a try.
And his mind was blown. He was like, if they can make stuff like this. And I was like, but they do. There's so many releases they have that taste this good, man. So, yeah, I agree. Awesome bottle. Awesome pick. Totally deserving to be on the list.
All right, number 9.
So my number 9 might surprise you.
Uh-oh.
The Kavalan Concert Master.
Love that. Love it.
So Alex does a whiskey tasting every year at his house. And, at the end of the night, sometimes he gets a little crazy and starts just rummaging through his stuff and pulling out bottles. Say, try this, try this, try this. I've never had Kavalan before. It's a Taiwanese whiskey. Mm-hmm. And the Concert Master, my understanding of it is that it's three ports blended together. So it's a ruby port, a tawny port, and a vintage port. So it's all those finishes blended together, but it's originally aged in American oak bottles. So to me, this hit. Like I like Scotch. I like my Scotches a little bit on the earthy side. So to me, this was malty. It was earthy, and it had some of those big red fruits that you get from like a port or sherry finish. And it resonated with me. It was so good. I loved it. You can be more specific about the cost. I think it was $85 a bottle. No, but so good. So good.
It is. And it's one of those that typically you have to get overseas. But now I think there are some editions that are in the U.S. selling it, like Total Wine and different stores like that. I know that my sister just brought, she was just in Taiwan, which is awesome, and she brought home a bottle for me that I have yet to share with you, but is also straight from the distillery special edition.
Ooh,
and you're gonna love it. But Kavalan is an amazing distillery. Try any of their things, but especially the Concert Master.
Yeah,
that is excellent.
Good one.
Number 9 for me is the Knob Creek Rye 12-year.
Oh, okay.
So Knob Creek, another tasty whiskey distillery. But when I had the 12-year, I just said, whoa, this is for me. And again, it's a rye. I'm a rye guy.
The 12's bourbon, I think.
Ooh, maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
All right. Let me look at the bottle again. Anyways, maybe that's the reason it was so exciting, because it was just a little bit different. But it's so good, all the flavors. So I exceptionally love it. It was one that shocked me for my year.
Yeah, and that one, I mean, you could still pretty much find it. It's about $70, $75 right now. But it's so good and sitting on the shelf a lot, and it should not be. People chase all this alligator stuff. No, Knob Creek 12 is fabulous.
It's delicious. So what do you got? Number 8?
So for my number 8, where I just talked about how stupid it is to chase stuff, is one that needs to be chased. Maker's Mark Cellar Aged. So Maker's Mark Cellar Aged is I believe it's 12-year is their minimum that they put in there.
Wow.
But it is like the Maker's Mark like I've always wanted. Like, I love Maker's Mark. It's so good. Some of their private barrels with their staves that go in there, they're excellent. But this cellar age, oh wow, really, really good. It's $150 MSRP. You're not going to find it for that unless you're super, super lucky. But I hope they recognize how good a whiskey they have on their hands, and I hope they continue to make it and make it a little bit more available, because it's just that good.
Awesome. My number 8 is Woodinville, 100% rye. Now this time I know it's a rye.
Yep,
they make a bourbon too. But anyways, the rye is so wonderful, and Woodinville totally blew me away, because it's one of those things that you almost assume a lot of whiskey that says it's rye or bourbon just comes from Kentucky. But this one coming from Washington, and it is wonderful, and it is cheap. It is so cheap. So if you are looking for a good bottle this year to get for somebody, like your boss or something, that is one that I think for the quality, it's just such a great value. It's unbelievably good.
It is.
So it's one that I've already bought like 3 bottles of and consumed, because they are just so tasty, and they're easy drinking.
They are.
Very easy drinking, wonderful. I love what they're doing there, and it's new to me this year, so I'm excited about anything else that they're going to come up with.
Yeah, their rye is absolutely wonderful. It's one that, like, you and I have talked about before. Like, you see a little bit left in there, and you're like, I don't want to finish it because I don't want this bottle to go away. And then you're like, but I can buy another one for like $35. So yeah, sure, let's finish it. Yeah, really, really good bottle. Definitely deserves to be on there. So my number seven is the Booker's batch, the Kentucky Tea batch.
Wow, very specific.
It is. So I believe this was a late 2022 batch, maybe. But I had it when we were on the Bourbon Trail in March, and it's everything I want in bourbon. It is like this dark, this oaky, just brown sugar, and the proof on it's pretty high. I think it was about 130 proof, but it was so drinkable. The sweetness that went there, it was so well rounded. Just an excellent pour. I loved it. At every bar that we went to in Kentucky, I was like, "You got the Kentucky Tea Batch, Bookers?" And I enjoyed every drop of it. I could not find a bottle of my own, but I enjoyed what I had of it.
Excellent. So my number 7, are we on 7? Oh my gosh, is my favorite distillery is Highland Park.
Yep.
So I always try all their different editions, which can be very pricey these days because everybody seems to know about them. I was one of the originals. I knew about it way back in the day, the OG. But they came out with an edition in a ceramic bottle called Viking Heart, and I am not ashamed to say that I'm on my 3rd bottle of it this year. It's my campfire whiskey, and I know not to throw shame at it, but like ceramic bottle right around the fire, drinking the Viking Heart. It's just it's so good. It's a perfect mix and balance of the peat, the smoke, those dark fruits that we talk about from that Orkney Island, the northernmost distillery. It's amazing. I absolutely love it.
And Highland Park was just like that whiff of smoke, like that faint whiff. Like, it's great. It's great.
Lots of malt. It's tasty.
It's so good.
That's a good one.
All right. My number 6, talking about bourbon in weird places, but I guess it wouldn't be too weird. This is out of Bourbon, Missouri.
Oh, Bourbon, Missouri.
Yeah.
Which one is it?
A place called Barrel King.
Yeah.
So Barrel King, it's what they do is they have a lot of MGP, really high quality whiskey, and then they find like some of the coolest barrels they can find, and they finish it in those. So the bottle that's specifically made by number 6, I got a mash and journey pick. It's called Squib Game because squib juice, Ross and Squib is MGP these days. So Squib Game. This was finished half in stag barrels and then half in, he said, the most oiliest MGP barrels he could find. So he finished half in one, half in the other, and he blended them together. The combination is outstanding. The distribution model for Barrel King's a little bit weird. I wish it was different. The only way to get it is to either be in a private barrel club or you have to join their club. And they basically like say, hey, here's our releases, like pick which one you want, and then you get sent to you. It's a little bit weird.
It's becoming more popular though.
It is, and I think what they're doing there is fantastic. I wish it was easier to get my hands on, and I would drink a lot more of it. But it's excellent. If you see it, if you can get a bottle of it, try it. It's great. You will not be disappointed.
Speaking about weird, hard things to find. I hate to bring this up, Dan.
Okay.
Because you didn't get to sample it, but it's the Old Forester birthday bourbon.
Oh, there it is.
I'm not going to talk about how I got it. I'm not going to talk about where I got it in Louisville, but I was privy to it when I got to Louisville. I was very much right place at the right time.
How much did that pour cost you?
$0. It was a freebie.
It's even worse.
So I know, and it's one of your favorite distilleries, so I just felt so bad. But you definitely were my first call when I had it. Yeah, to let you know. But yeah, this year's birthday bourbon was exceptional. It was so wonderful. All the flavors that you know and love from Old Forester came forward, and it's definitely my pick. Oh, it was so good. I'm sorry, Dan.
It's fine. It's fine. It's what it is.
You just got to find a bottle.
Yeah.
Sent to
I want to sell a kitty for it.
undisclosed locations.
Oh man. So my number 5. We're at top 5 already.
Top 5.
Top 5. My number 5 is the Jack Daniel's 12-year. So we talked a little bit about the Sinatra edition, how much we like Jack Daniel's, some of the limited releases. The 12-year, I had a pour of it up at Horse Soldier, the Urban Still House up in St. Pete.
That's a great place, by the way.
It is. It's so cool. They've got such a good whiskey menu, but that was on the list, and I was like, I need a pour of that. And it was everything I want out of Jack Daniel's. It was so good, and I wish I could find a bottle of it. I cannot, but I would gladly go back there and get a pour of it. It was one of the best pours I've had this year. Top 5, Jack Daniel's 12-year.
And especially when you mixed it with a little Coke, right?
No.
I'm just kidding.
No.
Don't do it. Don't do it. All right. Number 5 for me was the Rabbit Hole Derringer, but the Founders Collection.
Okay.
So again, going back to my time in Louisville, obviously I had some of my best whiskeys of the year there. But I went to the Rabbit Hole Distillery, which I'm a huge fan of, just for so many reasons about, just how they're so environmentally friendly, they're transparency forward, all those things that you kind of like this day and age. But they make this Founders Reserve of the Derringer, which is, kind of that sherry that they bring forward, and it is amazing. It's
cool.
So good. It was so good that I really was on the verge of buying a bottle while I was there. I was on a tour with a group, and everyone's like, do it. But all I did was have a little pour, but I'm going to find that bottle, and it will be in my collection. It is. I think it's like every bit of $250, even when you're there. So, but that's why they still have bottles at the distillery.
Yeah, that's why you can get it.
It is really almost worth buying the bottle.
Very
full
cool.
retail.
So my number 4 pick was by one of our favorite distilleries, Boona Haven.
Oh my gosh. Boona.
Particularly the Fay Isle 2022 release.
Whoa.
Yeah. Guy I know got me a pour of it. Really, really good stuff. So the Fay Isle, you can probably explain it a little bit better than I can, but it's a festival celebrating
Scottish culture and history.
and whiskey.
Yeah, so it's always been in the Isla region, and they've always celebrated their culture and everything, but obviously they started bringing whiskey into it, I think 1995, maybe somewhere around in that parts, and ever since then, people now know it as a whiskey festival, but it's a great time. There's all kinds of events, and now every single distillery on the island, which keeps growing, by the way, gets to have their own day, or, their joining up days, and it's wonderful because they host, and there are events there, some ticketed, some non. It's almost a must-do event sometime in your life. Put that on your bucket list to go there.
Yeah, it seems like it'd be really cool.
But the releases, it's just like Beaujolais. If you're into French wine, it's very much something that the releases are what you care about.
Yeah, or Bourbon Festival if you're a bourbon guy.
Exactly.
Bardstown Bourbon Fest. I mean, so this whiskey that Alex had got his hands on a bottle of. It's the Fay Isle 2022. So good. I think it was sherry finished. A lot of earthy tones in it. Really, really excellent stuff.
Delightful. The Abanarg, as they call it.
Ah, yeah.
Lovely. All right.
Don't know what that means, but it's good.
Excellent. My number 4 is Whistle Pig 18 year.
Oh, yeah.
So Whistle Pig is one of my favorite American distilleries up in Vermont. I've had so many of their offerings. We've done a video once about one of their amazing ones that just came out. But I will say I had the privilege of having the 18 year with this guy, and it was so special. It was lovely. Just a little pour, just enough to understand how exceptional it was, and wishing I was able to procure an entire bottle. But that pour was enough for me. It was enough for me. Definitely. So good. All the notes. Whistle Pig is one of those that has such a distinct flavor.
It does.
So for me, that was scrumptious.
That was really tasty. And yeah, if you guys want to know, we did a board game review with Whistle Pig Pit Viper.
It was the Pit Viper edition, Summer Stock.
Yeah. That was really tasty. Yeah, Whistle Pig's got it going on. That 18, oh man, that was it's like butter. I mean,
they got a lot of marketing going on for sure, but I was a sucker.
All right, we're now in the top 3, folks.
Oh, wow. Here's where it gets real.
This is one of the 2 bottles that I also have.
You brought some to share?
I did.
What a good friend.
My number 3 is a little company called Found North. So Found North is really, really cool. It's a Canadian rye company, but they do super, super high age stated. So this is actually a single barrel through the Mash and Journey Single Barrel Club. Season 1, barrel 8. Whew. This thing is aged with 19, 12, and 21 year rye. So excellent stuff. We're going to grab a pour of this. So Found North, outside of their single barrels, they do a couple batches. They're now on batch 8, actually.
Okay.
And batch 8, I think the youngest whiskey in it is 18 years.
Oh my gosh.
So they are doing some extremely high age stuff. They're doing high age stuff.
I think you did.
With Canadian rye, and it's just everything that you want in it. I don't think we're going to see this high age statement stuff last super, super long. So enjoy it while you can. Distribution on it's great. You can get it right from them. You can get it from Shared Pours, Seal Box. It's
Oh my gosh.
it's a little
Is that good?
It is. It is. It's
Wow.
about $150 a bottle, unfortunately.
What's the proof on it too?
116.
It does not taste like it's anything over 80.
It does not. And to me, this thing's like maple syrup and pancakes, man.
No, there's so much
This is
exciting.
great.
And pine. I get some pine.
Yep.
Oh.
Yep, that rye.
And that's what you love about the region, right? So
Yep.
you're talking about it's made in Canada, and so you get that in the water source, right?
Yeah.
Because you know they're using their local water source.
It is. And
That's tasty.
and
Dan.
so to me, this also is really eye opening because to me, when I think Canadian rye, I think like Crown Royal. I don't get excited about it. So when I heard this was coming out, I'm like, well, let me try it. Let me see what it's like. Total fan. I love it. I'm going to keep trying this stuff in 2024. Got a couple bottles that I just ordered of the batch 6 and 8. So I'll be trying those soon.
So glad I'm your friend. Might need to change my number 3 pick here. Give me a second.
Uh-oh.
All right. My number 3 is Kaio Ruby Edition.
Ooh.
So Kaio is another great, it's a Japanese distillery. Very much making exciting barrel aging decisions. And the Ruby is one that I love. And I got it at Gaspar's up in Tampa, which is an amazing place to get and sample whiskey. But the nice thing is when you find a local store, or sometimes even a little bit further away, if you can get there, you find that they have more choices. So like a lot of places around me will have some additions, but not everything. Like what I was sipping on earlier was a little Kaio. They almost exclusively age in Japanese Mizunara casks, which is obviously the rarest of all casks. Usually it takes, I believe, almost 200 years, something. I don't quote me, but to even make one barrel out of the tree. So for me, the Kaio is wonderful, but the Ruby Edition is exciting. It was new to me this year and absolutely enjoyable.
Oh, it was fabulous. I'm so glad you shared that one with me. It was really, really great. And Gaspar's is wonderful too. I mean, it's great when you show up to a place and you're excited to see all they have and all that they have to offer. And the staff there is like just as excited to share their pours and make recommendations to you. Like, to me, that's just what we're in this for. Like, it's making friends, conversation, sharing stuff with new people, meeting new people. It's great.
Exactly. And as many years as we've been drinking whiskey, there's always something new to learn. And that's what I love.
Absolutely.
Always listen to others.
Yep.
All right. Where are we at? Number 2.
My number 2 is one I also had at Gaspar's. It is the Foregate Peri Peri Rye. So one of the pours that I used to love, I used to look forward to every year was the Midnight Winter's Dram by High West. And that is a port finished rye. So Foregate kind of took their hand at it and they said, let's do a port finished rye in tawny port barrels. And it was a 7 or 8 year rye. But it just, to me, it was those old Midnight Winter Drams that they're still making them. They're just not what they used to be, in my opinion. This was kind of like what I was looking for, what I had missed, where I wanted to be with this. And it was just such a great pour, and I wish I had a bottle of that before it went out of stock.
100%. And my number 2?
Let's hear it.
Is Amrut Bagheera. Ooh. So I just went Japanese. Now I'm going Indian. So Amrut is a very popular Indian whiskey that's made its way over here. They've done an amazing thing in India where they took pretty much master distillers from Scotland. They took all the peat, the scotch, every single thing they could. And they've made an exceptional whiskeys, but the Bagheera, obviously, going back to the Jungle Book theme, is a very special edition that I imported, and it is so tasty. So tasty that after I imported a bottle, you imported a bottle. It is so good. Anyways, but if you can find it, it is lovely and wonderful. Amrut makes a lot of great products out there, so just keep taking a look for them. And it's interesting to get a peated Indian whiskey. So
yeah, to me, Indian whiskey, I didn't know what to expect. And when you first introduced me to Amrut, there was the traditionally peated that we tried, the fusion. The Bagheera is like all of that to 11, and it's exactly what you want out of a whiskey. It's so good. Don't be weirded out by what it sounds like. It's just that great. It's fabulous.
All right, we're on to It's the Time.
It's number one
and
time. Honestly, so I'm a bourbon guy for the most part. I love all whiskey. I love Irish whiskey, love Scotch, love bourbon.
Love beer.
I like cheap beer. But I think this is going to surprise you as to what my number 1 is.
Can't wait to hear it.
My number 1 whiskey that I tried in 2023 is the pre-mothball Hakushu 12.
Yes! Yes!
It is. So one night,
fabulous.
Alex busted out this bottle, and he's like, hey, Hakushu was mothballed because there was such demand in Irish whiskey, and they had to close it down for a little while. And this was acquisition. It was the old distillery. And he's like, this is like their old stuff. This bottle you're not going to find anymore. You got to try it. I tried it. It was fabulous. Fabulous. So Japanese whiskey, Hakushu 12, pre-mothball. I haven't had Hakushu post mothball, so I can't compare it. But the pre-mothball 12, yeah.
And it's still pretty good. The they've done, I think, a Distiller's Reserve or Distiller's Edition since, and they do the 12, and they're doing some editions, and they, I think they came out of mothball quicker than they expected because they said it would be at least a decade. Mm-hmm. And that's why the bottle price when I got it was less than $100, and it jumped to like $500 almost overnight. Because Japanese whiskey is just crazy. And I'll tell you, if you're watching this, if you can also find a bottle, since they're celebrating their 200th anniversary, look out for the Yamazaki and the Hibiki, their special, 100th, I think it is. But they have their anniversary edition out, and if you can find it, get it. That is my suggestion to you. I might have already procured my Yamazaki because that's a good bottle to sit on or drink on, whichever you wish. But that was a great pick. And yes, the pre-mothball edition. Some of you would say, why in the world would you open it and give it to a friend late at night? But I say that's exactly when you do it, because you share good whiskey with good friends. Right. Don't wait on it, you drink it.
That's what whiskey's for. Like, don't leave it wrapped. Don't leave it sitting on a shelf. Don't talk about secondary. Nobody cares about that. Like, whiskey is made to be drank. It's made to be shared with friends. And your friendship's going to blossom, like, as you drink good stuff. Like, I mean, it's cool.
Don't share the whole bottle. Just a little bit.
No, pull it out every now and then.
Number 1 for me. And the last one to say is one that you've already mentioned.
Yeah.
Buna Abanarag.
Ah, there we go.
You got it. Faye Isle release 2022.
It's our only crossover, right?
I know. It's the only one.
It's amazing.
So I love Highland whiskey, but I'll have to tell you the Buna from the Isle region is so wonderful. I absolutely adore it. It is the least smoky of all the whiskeys from that region, but the things they're doing with their barrels, especially for the Faye Isle picks, it's exceptional. And every year now, it is a must grab for me. And I hope none of you decide to do it because I don't want their prices to increase anymore.
Right.
But this one, actually, the Abanarag, if you look out there and you can try to find it to be shipped overseas, it is affordable for what it is. A lot of times when you look, some of the Faye Isle releases jump to like 400 pounds pretty quick, right? British, but I will tell you that This one's only about 65. So right now, great value. If you can find a bottle, do it because it was exceptional. It's the only crossover we have, but for good reason.
Yeah, it totally deserves to be there. And if you're not a Scotch guy and you want to dip your toe into Scotch, Boonhaven is a excellent brand to kind of bridge that gap.
Plus, I should have brought the bottle in, but like if you look at the label, it just looks like a Scotch word. You know, it's like that must be Scottish.
Yeah.
Because try to pronounce it. That's why so many people in the industry just call it Boona.
Oh yeah. And
It's
even if you say it, you're not going to pronounce it that way.
Yeah. Those are some great ones. I can't believe I get to sample this again. Thank you so much, Dan.
Yeah.
Cheers to everybody out there. And again, please make sure to like, subscribe, give us some comments. Tell us where we've gone wrong.
Let us know your favorite whiskeys that you drank in 2023.
Exactly. All right. And Dan, as we always say,
game hard, drink responsibly.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.